You know what? I would love to troll, but I generally just don't have enough time in my life for trolling. So you know that's how it is. It's a full time occupation sometimes. A full time occupation. So here we are. Oh, why is my camera being silly? There we go. Oh, my little fringe was hanging over the front. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome in. Yeah, I got a troll in the chat. Someone called Eno M Koney. Yeah, I'd ban him, but I fear the consequences of that action. I'm not sure you can ban yourself. I don't think that's a thing that you can do. I think it just gives the server a headache. What do you mean you want to ban yourself? But there we are. Here we are. It's a new month. New month, but not only that, but next week's service will happen the day before. I have to do a Saturday service because it's the change of season. Hello, TF2 Real Gamer 2022. The congregation is in the house. It's the purest kind of congregation, in fact, because there's one clergyman and one congregation. The equality, the power balance is right there, unless anyone else obviously comes into the chat, as they are free to do, being as Twitch is a sort of publicly accessible. I think they probably won't, but sometimes they do because they want to sell me things or whatever. Or one time, like there have been a couple of people just going, "Hi, how's it going?" Like say hi, and then something about the way I say hi to them spooks them and they run away. So all of these things are possible. Turns down music up. Oh God, turn the music down. Jeepers, you surprised me by being in a chat. Sorry, that's a weak excuse, but yeah. And why is my mic? My mic's gone down. No, that's too high. There we go. That's where it should be. Sorry, mic was too low. Although that's weird because I have no idea why the mic was there. No, I'm supposed to do that. But yeah, it was a bit loud at the beginning of the show. Apologies to anyone watching this afterwards. It does get better. Good grief. Terrible. I did everything. That's the thing. There's always one item off the list that I always miss out. Like, is it that I'm not going to update the stream information? Do I forget to download the intro image so that I could do the smooth thing? What is it that he's going to forget to do this time? Is he, for example, going to forget to read the disclaimer? Yeah, he probably is, actually. But let's just... There it is. You can read it for yourself on the screen. I've done lots of variations recently. You've heard it before probably, and if you haven't, just go and look at another service on YouTube. They've all got the disclaimer on somehow or other. So there we are. I'm going to give my audience this week the honour of believing that they can read for themselves and see the fnords. Of course, you've got to be able to see the fnords. And here's the order of service as usual. Deep Thoughts, Kandar, Faces of Eris, Reflective Tarot, Weekly Sacrament. For those interested, this isn't heavy week in the Faces of Eris. Last week was heavy week. This week, though, in Deep Thoughts, we're going to ask ourselves this question. What do I get out of it? It's a very relevant question, in fact. You saw it. Good. I'm glad that you saw it. Was it everything? Sad? You're sad. What? You sad you missed it? You were sad at the fact that it was there and you didn't see it live? It's just the way it is, man. The goddess, she moves in chaotic ways. She doesn't even have to be mysterious because she's chaos. I learnt today I learnt that the Eris is an actual character in the animated feature Sinbad and the Seventh Voyage. There's a Sinbad cartoon that nobody watched, and she's in it in some capacity. So there we go. I got to try and find a copy of that Sinbad animated movie now. It's probably quite easy to pick up on DVD. Is it the piss jar from the hit game Team Fortress 2 today? I think we're going to have to give the TF2 faces a rest. Right? It ceases to be chaotic if every week she's a different aspect of the team shooter Team Fortress 2. So I think you may have a long wait before we get round to a piss jar. Although I would be interested to know what ChatGPT would how ChatGPT would explain that one after the explanation that it gave for the heavy, which was, of course, since that happened, since I took those ChatGPT formed points, I've noticed in all ChatGPT concepts that it always explains the joke. Like there's something about Gen AI text that cannot help but explain the bit of anything, any response it gives. And I was talking to someone after last week's service, so not until now will this have come up. And of course, in fiction, things that are like androids that are supposed to have some kind of humanity or personality, or where you cruise that edge between is it a machine, is it a real consciousness, they never really understand humor. That's how you mark out that it's an android and not a human being. And I'm thinking that ChatGPT in its training probably got fed all the scripts for Star Trek The Next Generation, and all the scripts for Red Dwarf, and all the scripts for anything that has a robot in it, with this popular trope that robots don't really understand jokes, and if they try and tell jokes, they do it in a clunky and offhand way. And I wonder if ChatGPT therefore has incorporated into its response model, well, I myself am a generative AI, sort of like that. So it always gives an answer like, oh well, I have to over-explain the joke every time, because that whole thing about the heavy explaining the joke of the Faces of Eris section of the service was like, this is getting so meta, but it is just a robot explaining why in a holy ceremony, having a part where you compare the god you worship to the heavy from Team Fortress 2, why that's so hilarious. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm glad that you like it, artificial intelligence, Gen AI, but yeah, cool. It's cool. So there we go. That was that. Yeah, some water. So the other thing I watched this week, which is what prompted this deep thought section, was I watched the true crime documentary on Disney Plus, Scamander, about the woman who pretended to have cancer in order to get people to give her money, which worked very successfully. And a key part of this scam, which I think we should all take note of here, is that she inveigled her way into her local North American but Californian Christian church groups. That's who she targeted to get the money out of. Oh, I've got cancer. Please give money to me. And I'm a Christian also, because here I am at church, and I'll waffle on about God. I can't read the you mean the bit up, oh, okay, just I showed it for what do I get out of it? There you go. What do I get out of it? That's what the question is. We've got like a money bag there, like, because when people ask what do I get out of it, they always mean money. I want money out of it. Yeah, that's what they always mean. What do I get out of it? I am on mobile. You're on mobile? Oh, right, yes. I remember that. I used to watch a streamer, and I used to watch them through my PlayStation, but at the time, but I had a PC, like a laptop open nearby in order to type things in. You don't think like that? Well, maybe you don't, but we'll come on to why it's very important Well, funnily enough, there's a lot of importance in that. It's very interesting that you say I don't think like that. Well, that's cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with thinking, what do I get out of it? Because sometimes things seem like a lot of effort. And you want to wonder, well, why would I put that much effort in? So that's cool. But anyway, yeah, I used to watch, and I have a laptop going. And I said, oh, yeah, we're watching on the PS4. He said, what, you're typing comments in the comment on the PS4? The money bag is off topic. No, because it's a general semiotic. So it should be something else. No, that's not true at all. Just because it doesn't apply to some people, generically you can understand the idea of, like, you know, people asking what do I get out of it and be given a like a brain. Yeah, you see, we have to go in at a lowest common denominator level. Yeah. Although I admire the idea, anyway, yeah, he actually thought for a minute that I was typing comments into the PS4 chat window with my controller. I was like, no, I'm not mad. I've just got a PC and I'm typing. But anyway, let's move on. Brains. Yeah. So the reason so I watched this documentary about this woman who managed to con loads of scam. That's the word. Scam loads of money out of all these Christians by pretending to have cancer and saying the right things about, oh, God help me not to have cancer. Oh, but now it's back again. Oh, I am going through the trials of Job. All of that stuff. And the thing about it is, right, one of the things that's really interesting to me is people who are minded to be Christian go to Christian church and they get involved and they do, you know, and then they, like, you know, and weirdly, this occurred to me. I didn't really think about it. I just knew that, you know, I'm a Discordian. They're Christians. So Discordianism isn't monotheistic because the existence of Eris implies the existence, say, of Zeus or Hermes, you know, or you know, Athena. It implies that they're all there. So it is you got a new bike this week and we didn't think about the money. We thought about the fun and the rides we're going to do this summer. Yeah, that's fine, but that's like a pecuniary transaction. You don't really go to the shops and think, you know, put the groceries in your trolley and think, what am I getting out of this? Because the answer is groceries, right? So you don't think about the money when you're going to spend money. I'm upgrading my Plex server. I'm going from a Raspberry Pi to a micro PC, got new storage, stuff like that. I don't think about the money because I'm spending the money. The idea of a transaction where you give someone money and they give you goods back, yeah, you never think about the money really because it's explicit in the transaction. It's all things like, why am I going to church? Why am I worshipping God? Why do I... you also spent €2,300 on a Team Fortress 2 hat. It's a thing that happened. It's an event that took place in the universe. Yeah, so whenever it's like, you know, I'm here every week on a Friday because Friday is the day. You know, it's the Discordian day. I don't know. I mean, I think if the original Discordians had thought it through, they might not have nominated Friday as the day. Because, I mean, Tuesdays are good, aren't they? That would be great. Every Tuesday, a Discordian shall go off and partake joyously of a hot dog. It doesn't interfere with anything. You know, it doesn't interfere with the end of the week, does it? But they didn't think about it, and so we're stuck with Friday. Friday is the day. That is the katma of Discordianism. That's how it works. Friday is the day. Yeah, and it will cause issues. I'm going away if I'm going away for the weekend, I leave on a Friday, so that necessarily cuts into this. It can't happen here at this point in the evening. We have to. At one time, I had a theatre ticket. I had to go out, so I had to run the service at midday because it's. But you can't buy money. That money bag is something like a phone or a toilet. Yeah, but that's the point. If you were putting time and effort into the spiritual advancement of, or a calendar into a spiritual advancement, then you're not asking for a phone or a toilet or, free gifts. You're not asking for free gifts per se. The money represents the money mindset. Yeah, and the money mindset is of retrieving abstract value for putting effort into something. Yeah, and money is the easiest abstraction. There are many further abstractions, as you are successfully throwing at me. Your mother is calling you. Yes, another successful distraction there for you this time, not for me. So you've challenged me on my iconography, and that is my answer. Money represents the lowest common denominator abstraction of tangible value for doing something. So that is not the money that you would spend to buy a bicycle or a micro PC. It is the money that you are paid for doing, say, a job or getting paid for something. Yeah, so the money is that you are committing time, effort, whatever, and as we know in the employment market, they give you money back, so that then you may go and spend that money on Team Fortress 2 hats, bikes, micro PCs, whatever it is. But that's the forward transaction. The initial transaction is I'm putting effort in to get money out. And there are things that you do that don't work like that. So you might go to a public speaking thing or a cookery course or any of those things, and then you'll say, well, I'll get some, well, that's the point. You tend to think of it as an intangible reward for putting in that effort, but it's no less tangible, I would say. But this is the thing. It is very true in the monotheistic mind trip that happens, that people seem to accept, I will put my mind into this mindset, and then what I get out of it is, that's the thing. It's like, well, I don't know to what. The point is that Christian people, from what I can tell, tend to relate what they've got out of being a Christian in a sort of humble brag way. That's the only socially acceptable way to say how gosh darn great it is to be in the monotheistic mind trip. You have to say, well, I have been so blessed. They love the word blessed, of course, to find my way to God because it does this for me, it does that. And then you're like, you have to imply, that's not why I'm doing it, of course. Because part of the rules of the monotheistic mind trap are that worship is its own reward. Your relationship and communion with monotheistic figure is worth. Well, and the problem with it is, right, when you break it down like that to the sort of just the basic, how does the mind trip work? Yeah, in this case, you can suddenly see when you take, I'm not going to say, we're not, this God for this documentary doesn't want to be named, so there's just going to be a shadow against a curtain. Remove the hand and the money bag. I'm not editing my presentation for you. I've explained why it's there. If you don't like it, run your own service. Make your own presentation. That's kind of part of the point. That's the point. That's one of the things I said right back at the beginning. Yeah, is that you can't go to a Catholic service and go, well, that service wasn't very good. I'll run my own, because they have this whole club with the collars and the, all that stuff, and theology training and stuff. You can't just, in fact, Catholicism, no, but in the Baptist church you can, because you can be a pastor. I didn't really understand that till after I did this and I started paying a bit more attention. But it doesn't work in the UK. This is what they found, right? You can come across here as a famous pastor, like Billy Graham, preacher, came across to Britain and did talks, people were all like, "Oh, he's great," like this. But the church were always very much like, "But he's not a clergyman. It's not like official. It's like spiritual fan fiction." Yeah. Whereas in America, that whole pastor stuff, not doing it this week. Definitely not doing it. I'm on a theme now. I'm on a run. I'm into it. 23's taking the week off. And he's only part-time anyway, 23, you know? Like, can't be 23 all the time. It's been a long time since I was 23. Yeah, so in America you can just be a pastor and then set yourself up and run a church. It's amazing how many cults, as it were. Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. This goes to such a level that there's a site called Get Ordained. I think it's an org, but it's called getordained.whatever. Yeah, and you literally fill in like a 5-field form and press submit. It goes, great. You can. We've got you registered in our books. This puts you on our books as a registered pastor, non-denominational. You can now perform weddings in America. You can't perform, like I did it because it was a giggle. I mean, it's amazing because I've got obviously my holy ordination sent to me from Etsy. Yeah, I've got that, right? And that cost me, it cost me money, actual money. There was a financial transaction in getting that. That's all you need to get it. But there's also this idea that you are going to take it seriously, which is interesting because like that costs. I know that my screen is in the way, but I'm not ripping it off the wall. But you can see the bottom of it just here. That is my ordination thing. That is my ordination certificate that I bought for money, right? And it's not just the buying for money, yeah. It's the fact that you're like, no, I'm going to take this seriously, as I have done. Because proof of what? What do I need to prove now? Jeepers creepers. You're very good, though. You don't believe anything you read or hear. Why did I buy it? Right, because I wanted to do these services, and I'd been a Discordian for ages, right? And I was like, I mean, it's a small stake. It's like a small ante. It was, not a significant sum of money. But it is the point that you bought it, that you went, I'm going to do this. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to frame it. It's there. It's like a statement of intent. Yeah. With this Get Ordained business, you fill in a form and that's it. You don't pay any money. So you don't even, the amount of care or seriousness you have to do to be put into a database that officially registers you to be, the pastor at a wedding and marry 2 people is less than the effort I had to take to buy a piece of paper off the internet. Why do you have it? Why do I have it? Because I was like, I want to run Discordian services. I've looked into it. There aren't many Discordian services. I feel that Discordianism needs this. If this suddenly became a thing, if Discordians popped up all over the planet and you could attend one of a dozen services on Friday night, yeah, I would probably think about winding up because they don't need me anymore. Nobody needs this, right? Okay. But as it happens, I'm about it. This is it. Yeah. I mean, Discordianism should be very worried. I am the thing that is providing. I mean, to be fair, Discordian services, it doesn't say. Okay. So in the Bible, right, as I understand it, there's a whole thing with loaves and fishes and a mount where there was a sermon. Yeah. So going out and talking about how bloody great God is a whole thing in Christianity. But Discordianism has, like, 2 guys were getting baked in a Bible. Yeah, in the Bible. Yeah. So in Discordianism's equivalent, the Principia Discordia, how do you know about God? Just hanging about. I get a lot of my information about God from Monty Python, Life of Brian. There's a whole scene there where they're standing at the back during the Sermon on the Mount, yeah, and there's stuff about stoning women, but It's women stoning women, but they're wearing beards because only men are allowed to stone women. That whole thing. That's fine. And also, The Last Temptation of Christ, the Martin Scorsese movie, that was pretty good. I mean, people get all irate about the silly bit at the end of that movie. But up to that point, it's like a real... Like Martin Scorsese, like trying to treat the story of Jesus with some kind of realism, as if it's that. And Jesus is being played by Willem Dafoe. So yeah, very good movie. Just to sort of, to help you entertain, until the silly bit at the end, to help you entertain seriously the events of the Christ life. It is really. So yeah, I know stuff. I'm not a Bible scholar because I'm not a Christian. And there's no need. Besides which, I have noticed that being a Bible scholar is really just a way to be slippery. A sophist. To be able to justify any action with a well-chosen verse out of the Bible. But yeah, the Principia doesn't really talk about you banging on about Principia. Well, about Eris. Two guys get baked in a bowling alley. Eris turns up and says, "You're free! I've come to tell you, you're free!" Yeah, and then she goes away again, and that's it. She doesn't command them to go out and spread the word of Eris or any of that stuff. And as such, people have not. Yeah, they tend to just, tend to take intoxicants and then discuss it. And the results of those conversations are lost to time. Right? So, but I do these things. And the reason why I do these things is because I was a Discordian for many years. Yeah, I heard about Discordianism years and years ago. I thought that probably sounds like me. Ha ha. And then just sort of ignored it for a while. But then, coming up for 2015, 2016, I was like, no, I really am. This is what I would do. This is the way that I think. It matches for me. And so for many years after that, I was just like, okay, so I am. But then I realised that once you've read the Principia, am I Eris? I am and I'm not. When Eris is, as I said, there was one week when I said Eris can be pantheistic. There can be a time when Eris is literally everything in the world, and everything in the world is Eris. But she's not trapped to that because she's chaos. So some weeks she could just be 50% of the things. So, like, my bowl of jar of sweets there, that can be Eris, and my pack of tarot cards can be Eris, and my phone can be Eris, but the microphone isn't, and I'm not, and the table's not. Yeah, she could be like 50% of the things in the universe. She can also be any degree of the things in the universe other than that at a given moment, depending on her whims. So at some point she can just be 1 in 10 things in the universe. She can never be more things. Just to give philosophers a headache, sometimes she claims to be more things than the universe actually contains. But we shall not entertain this one. There is a red spy behind me. A red spy. I think that might be an optical illusion. But yeah, so to return to my extremely tedious story about why I'm doing services, blah, 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 made me look. Well done. Well done. You did. You manipulated me into thinking that there was something behind me that looked like a spy. I should have known that was nonsense. I should have asked you to prove it. That'd take a leaf out of your book. So I was like, well, how do I become more Discordian? How do I commit to the Discordian lifestyle? And I realised that Discordianism doesn't really tell you, unless thaumaturgy or whatever it's called, theosophy. No, it's not that. It's Thelemites. Yeah, they will claim, oh well, if you're Discordian, you may as well be a Thelemite, do chaos magic. But that's not. As I say, my practices are chaos mysticism, not chaos magic. I do a thing, a ritual, and I don't care what the result is. Chaos magic is weird because inherent in its practice is that you use chaos to control. Yeah, it's always seemed off to me. Whereas chaos mysticism is great because you just do something and you don't know what's going to happen, but you're sure it will be interesting. I mean, that's literally how the KLF operated. Like, it's amazing. Like, they committed themselves to the bit very strongly, and they had a little bit of that Thelemite pepper in them. You see, I'm quite vanilla. Yeah, I just, little cherry icon. I like it. Very good. I don't know what it means, but it's cool. But yeah, the KLF really were like, they wanted to know. They were really peering deep into the heart of chaos. And to be fair, I admire the effort, but I got stuff to do. I got a job. I got a family. I haven't got time. I ain't got no time for that. But I have got time for a little bit of practice. A little bit of practice. And this is the practice that I do. And then you come to the question of why, as you said, you've asked the question, what do I get out of it? What is the purpose? And the answer is, first of all, it does help you unpick why if you start doing things as a sort of Discordian version of, what other religions do, you just sort of make it Discordian, you start to understand. You didn't ask that. You asked me why I bought a piece of paper, but the underlying, get out of my head. Get out of your head. Do you know how many people need to be in your head? None. For a bit, clearly. It's time. Just Vampire Survivors, that's my advice, but I do have ADHD. And so, Vampire Survivors is the ADHD holding pattern for consciousness. That's why Vampire Survivors is so popular in the ADHD community. I got ADHD, my son's got ADHD. Time can just disappear while you're playing Vampire Survivors. And you have cancer. Well, this is the worst possible forum to have brought this out, seeing as I was talking about the woman who was scamming people by claiming that she had cancer and getting people to give money to her, which is something, incidentally, that is far less likely to happen if you have a polytheistic worldview, I believe. It's very hard because only Discordians really, I suppose, Hindus do as well and stuff like that. There are polytheistic religions in operation. And I think that the reason the monotheism mind trip is inherently egotistical, both for the deity and can you PayPal me some money? Because no, I can't. Don't have PayPal. I can't Venmo it either. Also, I only give money to people I've actually sat across the table from, which you don't come into that category. What I'd suggest you do if you really need money and you have cancer, whether it's real cancer or fake cancer, is go and get involved in your local monotheistic church and moan on about having cancer, and then, So there we go. Yeah, that's the answer. That's how you do it. This woman proved that. Oh, that was Stream Elements. You have I Meet You in real life. Really? Is that really true? I don't think that's true. In a bar, right? I mean, I have been to a bar once or twice. Any more specific on which bar it was? I think probably we should change this into Q&A. We're going to continue this, but this is where we're at. You had something red on you. That's like the line out of Shaun of the Dead. And a hat. Yeah, no, I don't really wear hats when I'm out. And a black shirt. You just literally say what I'm doing now, but saying I've got red on me, there's a line in Shaun of the Dead. Oh, he's got red on him. Yeah, so that reminded me of that. Very good. I like a pointless digression as much as the next person, but I think we've successfully wrung out of the thing. What the thought is, basically, and there's weirdly the reason that I knew this would kind of have an effect is that I decided to do a podcast with a friend of mine because he moved to Australia. And it was one of the few activities that we could do that, we like to do projects and stuff. Yeah. So we decided to run a film podcast. And this was back in like 2013 or whatever. I think that's 2012, 2013, sometime about that. And when we started, we didn't actually I watched a lot of movies. But that's like, saying, I'm going to become a martial artist because I've watched a lot of Bruce Lee movies. Yeah, we weren't deluding ourselves. We went to a lot of length in the first episode to be like, we don't know anything. We're just fans. We just like movies. But as we ran the podcast, which ran for like nearly 3 years, I think, like improper, and then picked up again a bit and then went back down again. We ran it on and off until about 2022, I think. I think I can easily check this. It's so ridiculous how easily I could check this. Like when it ran till, because the last episode will still be there. 2021. Yeah, there we go. 2021. That's why. And a hat and a black shirt. Why do we exist? We came to the bike store to look at some clothes, but we ended up buying a bike. Cool. So till 2021. So it was 8 years, more or less, 8 to 9 years of doing this podcast on and off all the time. And I would have kept it running without him because I quite liked the podcast by the end, but I didn't have anyone to run the podcast with. So I'm not doing it on my own. So there we go. That's it. Now I've got this gig. So, but yeah, what happened is that over the course of that time, in order to just make sure we weren't saying anything outrageously wrong, we did early on say some really outrageously wrong things, and it just ruins those episodes because they're so egregiously wrong. So I started to research, and we started to do a little thing where which I ripped off another podcast entirely, where we would predict how we thought movies would do at the box office over the summer. I did change the format a little bit on that, but we did basically do it. And what we found was that over time we actually learned a little bit about how the movies in the cinemas actually work. We just began to sort of osmose film movie knowledge at a different level because we were doing this podcast and we needed it for the podcast. And that's what taught me that if you do something, the thing you do osmoses into you. People have a phrase. Some people have a phrase for it. They call it "fake it till you make it." But what they're saying is, do the thing, and it will become a part of you. And so, I guess the answer to the question, what do you get out of doing Discordian service, attending a Discordian service, whatever it is, yeah. The answer to that question is, what you get out of it is that you, it comes into you. It has an effect on you somehow. So that's what it is. And maybe you want that, and maybe you don't. If you don't want it, don't do it. And if you do want it, do it. So there we are. Right, okay. So, Faces of Eris time. Now I've completely lied here because I just kept last week's corner text. There is no ChatGPT in this week's. No ChatGPT whatsoever. In fact, I am going to mentally prepare you right now that this week's Faces of Eris is just an excuse for a number of puns. It is a puntastic edition of Faces of Eris. Because it's nobody who is, here's my first point, the only one who gets out of here alive. So that I've set the tone now. I've set the tone. This week, Eris has done. When you said, "Are you Eris?" earlier, TF2 Real Gamer 2022, I am ashamed to admit that at that point I had to be lying if I said I was, because this week Eris is precisely 0% of anything in the universe, including herself. But in that position of ultimate negativity, she is the only one who gets out of here alive. She, of course, also blinded Polyphemus. That was a famous incident. It just teaches you, as all Greek tales of heroism should, that if you want to get away with murdering someone, when they ask you who you are, you say nobody. And then they're like, nobody's killing me. And everybody's like, well, that's fine then, because that's how it should be. And then you get to murder them undisturbed, because they're there crying, no, nobody is stabbing me in the chest 53 times. The people are just going, weirdly specific, but fine, I'll allow it. So there we go. Cares. That's the thing about nobody. If you want to find out, like, people are always queuing up to tell you that nobody cares. Nobody cares as much as nobody cares. That is just an intrinsic truism of the universe. And of course, nobody has been seen stepping out with the skeleton, because whenever the skeleton wants to go to a party, they've got nobody to go with. So that's all right. They're never short a date in those circumstances. Keeping them running just so that you don't think about them. Nobody is more exclusive than everybody. I mean, I'm literally everybody. You're everybody. That person down the shops that you see sometimes thinks a bit crazy. They're everybody as well. The shop assistants, they're everybody. You know, everybody is everybody. That's how it works. Whereas nobody is nobody. So that's fine. Whoever you're looking at, it's not going to be that person. So it's because it's nobody. Very exclusive club. A set of none. And finally, of course, nobody does it better. So yeah, whatever you are doing, whatever anyone else is doing, you see someone run 100 meters at the Olympics real fast, nobody will do it better. You see, Leonardo da Vinci made the Mona Lisa, which has been revered for many years, hangs in the Louvre, but nobody did it better. The Simpsons did it first, but nobody did it better. Right, that's enough stupid puns about nobody. Let's hope that I grow up a bit before next week, shall we? Because that's how it's going to be. You know the drill, or if you don't, the deck gets shuffled 5 times before we then cut the deck to raise the chosen card of the week to the top. Nobody knows what it is. Nobody from the previous section, they know what it is. But they are the only one. Nobody knows who it is. Everybody else doesn't know what it is, including me. So here it is. We're going to see what is this week's reflective tarot symbol. And the answer is, oh my lord. Going very major arcana at the moment. And they're only floating to the top, I should point out, just from the shuffle and the cut. So this is it. We're in a loud time. And the sun has come, which is the 19th card of the arcana. There's only 2 more cards after this one, Judgment and the World. And as such, they represent the sun. Well, I mean, the sun is the sun, isn't it? It's always there in the morning, always disappears at night, to do its own thing. And it's the power, As the song so rightfully says, we are all made of stars. So the sun, is everybody, and everybody is the sun. That is the most likely scenario in this case. We are all made of stars, and the star we are all made of is probably this one. So there we are, full of power, an enormous, astronomically enormous fusion reactor, flying through space at thousands of miles an hour as the spiral galaxy spirals round. Awesome power. But of course, if you go and stand, you can't stare at it. You can't stand in it unprotected for too long, or you will turn even redder and lobsterier than my face. Sunburn. So the sun nurtures, brings life, but it can also roast. It can fry your retinas till the sun is the last thing you ever saw. It's power, but power can hurt as much as it can heal. So there we are. That is what we are thinking about this week. The sun power. Are we here already? Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. We're definitely in the right area for a sacrament. It is time. It is time. So as you know, here at the SWDP, South Wales Discordian Press, proudly not publishing anything for many years. We favour strawberry candies. Anything strawberry flavoured, anything candy-ish, anything liquid, smoke, whatever it is, whatever you've got that presents your communion right here with the boiling heart of chaos via a sweet. It's supposed to be a hot dog, but of course we have invoked the religious right, the spiritual right to transubstantiation, to turn whatever it is you're going to put into your body at this time into a hot dog for the purposes of this most holy of communions with chaos itself. So we say we could not find a hot dog, not even with a bun, but we eat this random item we can put into our bodies because devotion comes with fun. And that is the power of chaos for another week. Well, some fine distraction there from the congregation during the main talk. Hopefully you could follow where we were going in that. If you are asynchronous, don't forget you can, of course, leave me a comment. You can like and subscribe as well. You see, I can do that YouTube talk. If you haven't already. And we have Discordianed for another week. I have Discordianed, you have Discordianismed, we have Discordianed. Sorry about the sound levels at the beginning. I got a bit distracted. When I switch the microphone on, I need to put the music down. Bad pasta. Gotta do it. Problem is, of course, I can't. It's not like in a lot of other broadcast situations that exist in the world. There is some method by which you can monitor what it is going out over the air. You can get like a patch through of how it is. But Twitch is not one of those areas, so you will find people having levels all over the place, and people like just being, oh, we haven't done this, we haven't done that. And Twitch has never, and probably will never, show any interest in addressing that situation to allow people to produce even more amazing live content, because they have no need to do that. So you're just going to have to put up with this half-baked this and that. So there we go. I mean, I think that's a fairly good summary of how a lot of people live their lives, putting up with a lot of half-baked this and that. So thank you for attending this half-baked this and that. It has been wonderful to share the world of Discordianism with you once more. I got completely derailed, and I forgot to mention, you may have noticed at the head of this service that this month has been deemed Milch, which of course stands for Month I Like Change. So it has the side effect benefit of sounding like it might be super rude, but it is just the Month I Like Change. So you could go out there and like change along with everyone else. I will see you in a week for the next exciting installment, and of course I shall see you a week Saturday for the changing of the season, for chaos is at an end and discord is a blowing in. So we shall find out what that's all about a week tomorrow. But until then, good evening.